ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Hare Krishna. We have been discussing Krishna's Dwaraka pastimes in the last several episodes, and we have completed the episodes of Krishna's marriages with his first 8 principal queens. They are Rukmini Devi, so we discussed Rukmini's episode. Then second queen was Jambavati, third Satyabhama. We discussed these two, second and third queens' marriages during the episode of Shamantakamani. And later we also discussed how Krishna married 5 more princesses. They are Kalindi, Mitravinda, then Satya or Nagnajiti, then Bhadra and Lakshmana. So total 8 principal queens of Krishna. How Krishna married all these 8 girls we have seen. And today we will discuss how Krishna married 16,100 more princesses by killing Narakasura. Once, when Krishna was residing in his opulent, resplendent city Dwaraka, Indra, the king of heaven, came to Krishna and he requested Krishna, "My dear Krishna, I have a problem. The problem is, there is a demon named Narakasura, who is also called Bhaumasura, because he was the son of Bhumi Devi. So when Varahadev made his appearance, through earth, Varahadev begot this person named Bhaumasura or Narakasura, and he is the king of Pragjyotishapura, and he became a very demoniac person. Although he is directly the son of goddess Earth, still he has become a burden for Mother Earth by maintaining some demoniac mentality. And this Narakasur, he has kidnapped 16,100 princesses. And not only that, he caused trouble to Indra also in the heavenly planets. He has stolen Varuna's umbrella. He has stolen Mother Aditi's earrings. Aditi was the mother of all the devatas. So this Bhaumasura or Narakasura went and he has stolen the earrings of Aditi. And also he has done so many other demoniac activities. So Indra could not tolerate all this, but he could not directly confront Narakasur also. Indra thought it wise to take help from Lord Krishna. And Indra went to Krishna and requested Krishna, "Krishna, can you please do something about it? So we are unable to tolerate the nefarious activities of this Narakasur." Then Krishna said, "Indra, I will do the needful." And Krishna went to the city of Narakasur. The city's name is Pragjyotishapura. And this time, Krishna went on the back of Garuda along with his dear wife Satyabhama. So Satyabhama also accompanied Lord Krishna in this battle. It's a very peculiar and special battle. So now Krishna went to this Pragjyotishapura, and he has broken the fortification of this beautiful city. So the Lord broke the rock fortification with his club. The Lord's club's name is Kaumodaki. And with other weapons, he has used his other weapons like arrows to destroy the other fortifications. And with his disc, he has destroyed the fortifications of fire, water and wind. And this Pragjyotishapura, the capital of Narakasur, is guarded by one demon named Mura. That's why the Lord is also called Mura, the person who has killed Murasura. And Murasura had 5 heads. So with his 5 heads, Murasura is guarding this great city of Narakasur. And when the Lord came there, he started dispelling all the magic spells created by these demons, and the hearts of all the residents of Pragjyotishpura were getting perturbed, and the earthen and also this Murasura demon came to attack Krishna. So Krishna came on the back of Garuda. He was looking resplendent on the back of Garuda along with Satyabhama. So Garuda was looking like a huge mountain, a golden mountain. The Lord was looking like a bluish cloud, and Satyabhama was looking like lightning. So this Lord and Satyabhama, they were looking like cloud and lightning. So Murasura came there. He came and attacked the Lord with his trident. So he had 5 heads and he attacked Garuda with his trident, and the demon roared and the sound reverberated throughout the universe. And the Lord counterattacked. And the Lord used 2 arrows to break the trident of Murasura. So the Lord destroyed the demon's club, and the Lord also destroyed so many other weapons that he was throwing. And Murasura, who had 5 heads, had 7 sons. All the 7 sons also came to fight with the Lord. They were attacking Garuda, and Garuda just effortlessly threw all their weapons. And the Lord also was fighting with Murasura and his sons. And at one point, the Supreme Lord Krishna has beheaded Mura. So Murasura died, but the sons of Murasura, the 7 sons of Murasura, again attacked the Lord, and the Lord has finished them also. So in this way, the Lord has killed Murasura and his associates, and finally Bhaumasura or Narakasura had to come out of his kingdom, because all the fortifications are destroyed by Krishna, and the guards who are Murasura and his 7 sons, they were also destroyed by Krishna. And finally, Bhaumasura, Narakasura had to come out to fight with the Lord. So there was a very huge battle that happened between the Lord and Narakasura. And in this huge battle, the Lord has beheaded Narakasura very effortlessly with his Sudarshana Chakra. So Krishna performs such wonderful activities in his various manifest pastimes. Jihve kirtaya keshavam muraripum cheto bhaja sridharam. Jihve kirtaya keshavam muraripum. The Supreme Lord Krishna is called Muraripu, or the enemy of Mura. So he has killed Mura. Jihve kirtaya keshavam. So let us glorify with our tongues, let us glorify that Supreme Lord Krishna who is Muraripu. Cheto bhaja sridharam means let us also worship the Lord and meditate on the Lord who is Sridhara, who holds Mother Shri Lakshmi on his chest. So then when Narakasura died, Narakasura's mother Bhumi Devi or Mother Earth came out, and then she offered prayers to the Lord. So this Bhumi Devi brought Aditi's earrings that her son had stolen, and also offered a Vaijayanti flower garland to the Lord, and also submitted Varuna's umbrella to the Lord, and the peak of Mandara mountain also. So all these things were captured by this Narakasura and kept in his kingdom. So the Lord gracefully accepted all this paraphernalia from Bhumi Devi, and Bhumi Devi offered beautiful prayers to Krishna. And Satyabhama was watching all this, and Bhumi Devi said, Namaha Pankaja Nabhaya, Namaha Pankaja Malini, Namaha Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajangaraye. This similar prayer was also offered by Queen Kunti in the first canto, 8th chapter in Srimad Bhagavatam. Similar prayer is offered by Bhumi Devi also to Krishna. Namaha Pankaja Nabhaya, O Lord, whose navel is like lotus. Namaha Pankaja Maline, O Lord, who is wearing a beautiful lotus garland. Namaha Pankaja Netraya, O Lord, who is having eyes like lotus petals. Namaste Pankajangaraye, O Lord, Krishna, you have lotus feet. So I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. And she said, Namo Bhagavate Tubhyam Vasudevaya Vishnave Purushaya Dibijaya Purna Bodhaya Te Namaha. Namo Bhagavate Tubhyam, O Lord, I offer my obeisances unto you. You are Bhagavan. You are the possessor of all 6 opulences. Vasudevaya Vishnave, you are Vasudeva, all pervading. You are Vishnu, the possessor of unlimited opulences. Purushaya, you are the supreme original person. Adi Bijaya, you are the original root of all existences. Adi means the Lord is origin. Bija means he is the seed of all existences. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita also, Aham Bija Pradah Pitaha. He says, then Purna Bodhaya Te Namaha. Means you are complete in your knowledge. The Lord is not, it's not necessary for the Lord to acquire knowledge from some other sources. The Lord is complete in one's knowledge. So the Lord is the Lord of unlimited energies. And here is the son of Bhaumasara. Mother Earth offered all these prayers and glorified Krishna in various ways. And after that, she introduced Narakasura's son to Krishna. Krishna, my son Narakasura is a very nefarious demon. He has stolen Aditi's earrings, take them. He has stolen Varuna's umbrella, take them. And here is his son, who is gentle. Then Krishna blessed this Narakasura's son. Narakasura's son is basically the grandson of Mother Earth. So the Lord has effortlessly killed Narakasura, and he has enthroned Narakasura's son as the king of Pragjyotishapura. He has given that kingdom to him. So the Lord has defeated the king of this kingdom, but the Lord did not claim this kingdom. So I have killed this king, so this kingdom belongs to me. So that's common for all Kshatriyas, but Krishna did not do like that. Krishna has given that kingdom. Basically, Krishna came to punish this demon and to teach him a lesson and protect the devatas and protect all innocent people who are tormented by this demon. But the Lord does not have any greed for this kingdom. And another important significant quality that Krishna exhibited here is his renunciation, his detachment. By giving up the kingdom, he exhibited detachment, but there is another aspect of his detachment. This Narakasura is son of the Lord only. And Lord, as in the form of Varahadev, he gave birth to this Narakasura through Bhumi Devi. So Narakasura is the son of the Lord, but the Lord has exhibited his detachment and renunciation by killing his own son. So he would not spare even his own family member also, if that family member happens to be a demoniac person tormenting innocent people. So the Lord has kindly established Narakasura's son as the king of this Pragjyotishapura. Then the Lord entered the city. When Krishna entered the city, he saw 16,100 young princesses who were kidnapped by Narakasura very mercilessly. And the Lord has seen these royal maidens, and he also has understood the whimsical nature of Narakasura, and he released all these princesses. But where will they go? They were captivated by this demon. So they thought, they were all thinking within. They were enchanted by Krishna's beautiful form. They spontaneously gave their hearts to Krishna, and they thought that may Providence grant Krishna as our husband. So the Lord has accepted them. So initially, Krishna has sent all these 16,100 princesses to Dwaraka city. But now Krishna cannot go to Dwaraka city. Krishna has to go to heaven to deliver all these things that he has collected from Pragjyotishapura to Indra. So Krishna, on the back of Garuda, along with Satyabhama, went to heaven, and he had sent all the 16,100 princesses to Dwaraka city so that he can marry them later when he goes back to Dwaraka city. So, and also the Lord also had dispatched 64 elephants who had 4 tusks. They are all descendants of Airavata. So that are these elephants also he had sent to Dwaraka city. So Krishna has given shelter to all these 16,100 princesses so wonderfully. The Krishna is so kind and affectionate. He did not consider the fact that they were captivated, they were kidnapped by a demon. What will happen? So Krishna did not think in those lines. They were all simple-hearted women who have given their hearts to me. So it is my responsibility to give them shelter. And because they desired to have me as their husband, So let me accept me as their wife, as my wives also. So Krishna has kindly accommodated them also. That is the nature of Krishna. And all the 16,100 girls have seen beautiful form of Krishna and they were spontaneously attracted to Krishna. So Krishna's glories are further described in the Mukundamala Stotra very wonderfully in a beautiful shloka. The shloka says, He Gopalaka, He Kripa Jalanidhe, He Sindhu Kanyapate, He Kamsantaka, He Gajendra Karuna, Parina He Madhava, He Ramanuja, He Jagatraya Guru, He Pundarika Akshamam, He Gopi Jananatha Palaya Param, Janami Natvam Vina. So in this shloka, Hey Gopalaka, oh Lord, you are the Gopala. You are the cowhead boy who had tended the cows in Vrindavan. Hey Kripa Jalanidhe. Kripa is mercy. Jala means water. Nidhi means treasure. Jalanidhi means the abode of water or the reservoir of water which is called ocean. Kripa Jalanidhi means Krishna is an ocean of compassion. He is not an ocean filled with water, he is an ocean filled with compassion. Hey Kripajalanidhe. So the Lord has mercifully delivered Narakasur. The Lord has mercifully reciprocated with the prayers of Bhumi Devi. And now Krishna is mercifully delivering all the citizens, all the 16,100 princesses captivated by Narakasur. Hey Gopalaka, Hey Kripajalanidhe, Hey Sindhu Kanyapate. Sindhu is ocean. Sindhu Kanya means the daughter of ocean. So Mother Lakshmi has appeared from the ocean. When the demigods and the demons were churning this milk ocean, Mother Lakshmi appeared from that ocean and the Lord has accepted her as his consort. So, He Gopalaka, He Kripajalanidhe, He Sindhu Kanyapate. You are Sindhu Kanyapati. You are the Lord you are the husband of Goddess of Fortune. He Kamsantaka, He Kamsantaka, He Gajendra Karuna, Parina He Madhava. He Kamsantaka, oh Lord, who have killed Kamsa and so many other demons who had been sent by Kamsa to Vrindavan. And He Gajendra Karuna Parina. Gajendra just offered a flower to Krishna. Gajendra offered prayers to Krishna even without taking the name of Krishna, Rama or Vishnu or Narasimha or Varaha, any other name. Gajendra just offered a prayer to the Lord of the universe, whoever it may be, let him come and protect me. I am unable to protect myself from this crocodile. Then the Lord has very kindly protected Gajendra from his predicament because of this crocodile. He Madhava, the Lord is also called Madhava. He Ramanuja, He Jagatraya Guru. Krishna is Ramanuja. Rama is Balarama here. Anuja means the younger brother of Balaram. Krishna is younger brother of Balaram. He Ramanuja. He Jagatraya Guru. Oh, the spiritual master of all the three planetary systems. He Pundarika Akshamam. Oh Lord, who has lotus petals like eyes. And He Gopi Jananatha Palaya Param, you are the Lord of all gopis. And Janami Natvam Vina, I don't know anyone else other than you, my dear Lord. So please protect me. So in this way, Krishna's glories are very much glorified in various Vedic scriptures and prayers of so many pure devotees. And here we see that Krishna has very kindly delivered all the 16,100 princesses who are captivated and kidnapped by this Narakasur. So after this, Krishna went to the heavenly planet. He went to Indra's planet. And when Krishna, Satyabhama and Garuda went to heavens, Indra came along with his wives and other associates. Indra came and welcomed Krishna with great love and respect and veneration. He worshipped Krishna with a lot of devotion and he gave him all hospitality. And Krishna has returned the earrings of Mother Aditi. And Krishna also had returned the umbrella of Varuna. And Krishna reported everything to Indra. So Indra, this is what has happened in Pragjyotishpura. And Indra became very happy. It is Indra who sought the help of Krishna to defeat this Bhaumasura or Narakasur. And Now Krishna has helped Indra. So when Krishna stayed in heavenly planet, at that time, our Satyabhama, he saw the Parijata tree, and Satyabhama desired that Parijata tree. And Krishna, he wanted to please his wife Satyabhama, and he wanted to take that Parijata tree to his abode Dwaraka. But Indra came there, and Indra became so furious. Indra got into a fight with Krishna. Krishna, this Parijata tree belongs to the heavenly planets. How can you take that Parijata tree to the earthly planet and establish in Dwaraka? This is the ornament of heaven. This is supposed to be in Svargaloka, not in Bhuloka. But Indra, momentarily he has forgotten all the favors done to him by Krishna. So it is Krishna who has protected Indra in various circumstances. And it is Krishna who has just now recently helped Indra in retrieving all the earrings of Mother Aditi and also the Chhatri, the umbrella of Varuna. So Indra was helped by Krishna in various ways, but now Indra became so possessive. Indra became so attached to this Parijata tree, and he is unable to make this small offering to Krishna also. Actually, everything belongs to Krishna. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Indra's opulence and Indra's position as the king of heaven, or Indra's Parijata tree, or whatever Indra may have, is only because of the blessing of Krishna, because of the empowerment of Krishna. So Krishna is all-powerful Lord, and if Krishna desires something from Indra, Indra is supposed to understand that it is his good fortune to offer it to Krishna, but Indra could not understand that. Indra got into a fight with Krishna. In Govardhan episode, Krishna had taught a lesson to Indra. Krishna taught Indra a very grave lesson by counteracting all the rains that he had sent. Indra became very puffed up. He was very proud of his material opulence and his position as the controller of heaven, as the bestower of rains. So Krishna stopped Indra's puja, and he introduced Govardhan puja. Then Vrajavasis worshipped Govardhan. They did not worship Indra, and Indra had sent devastating rainfall in Vrindavan to destroy all the Vrajavasis, and he blasphemed Krishna also in various ways. And Krishna lifted Govardhan mountain and protected all the Vrajavasis from the rain sent by Indra, and Indra came and fell at the feet of Krishna. Indra begged forgiveness, my dear Krishna, please forgive me. So Krishna forgave Indra, and Indra went back to heaven. Now again Indra is getting into a fight with Krishna. So when somebody is so proud and puffed up of one's material position, one can forget one's subordination to Krishna. One may not be able to dedicate oneself to Krishna or Krishna's service because of one's false pride or attachment to material objects or material position. Now Indra begged forgiveness during the Govardhan episode. Although Indra begged forgiveness, that was not with a completely pure heart. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his commentary, he says that Indra did not beg forgiveness from Krishna after Govardhan Leela with a pure heart. Indra was only fearful of punishment. So Krishna has protected Vrajavasis from Indra's wrath, but Krishna did not Krishna did not punish Indra. So Indra was fearful of punishment. Indra was thinking, Krishna may call Yamaraj and then ask him to punish me. What will happen to me? Out of fear. Definitely there is some sincerity in Indra's way of begging apology. But at the same time, Indra was repentant also, definitely. But that repentance or saying sorry or begging apology or begging forgiveness is also accompanied by fear of punishment. Indra was desiring, let me not be punished for my activity. Let me be forgiven for my mistake. That was his aspiration. But a genuine devotee, pure devotee will not just beg forgiveness to be forgiven and to be relieved from punishment. That forgiveness is begged with a sincere heart by respecting the emotions of the other person. So Indra, because he begged forgiveness in Govardhan episode not with a completely pure heart, and he had a fear of punishment only, he repeated that mistake again. again he became rebellious in front of Krishna. Indra got into a fight. But Krishna again taught a lesson to Indra. Again he defeated Indra and he took the Parijata tree to Dwaraka Dham. So then Indra had to again accept this defeat. But Krishna kindly allowed Indra to continue in his position as the king of heaven because the Lord is forgiving. So Indra is a devotee of Krishna, although he is not a fully pure devotee, but still he is a devotee of Krishna doing a responsible service of heavenly administration and bestowing grains to people. So Krishna again taught a lesson to Indra and brought the Parijata tree down. And now the Parijata tree is planted in the garden of Satyabhama's palace, and all the bees followed the tree from heaven. So Parijata tree has very beautiful flowers that attract bumblebees, and Parijata tree was brought from heaven to Dwaraka, and all the bees from heaven also followed that Parijata tree to Dwaraka. And Sukadeva Goswami describes, Indra came and begged before the Lord to fulfill his desire. Having achieved his purpose, he chose to fight with the Lord. What ignorance these demigods have! To hell with their opulence. So he requested Krishna for help, but without any gratitude, he even went into fight with Krishna. So that is the nature of material opulence. So after Krishna came back to Dwaraka, he planted Parijata tree in Satyabhama's garden, and later he also married 16,108 queens in Dwaraka. And he simultaneously married all of them. Not that he was marrying one by one. He expanded himself into 16,100 farms and he married all of them simultaneously, and he constructed 16,108 palaces for each of those queens, and he stayed with them in multiple farms, 16,108 farms. So no ordinary human being can do like this. He satisfied them completely. And the fortune of these queens is that, Sukadeva Goswami says, these women obtained the husband of goddess of fortune as their husband. Even great demigods also do not know how to approach them. All these queens have their own servant maids. They are very opulent queens of Krishna, but still they consider themselves the servant maids of Krishna, and they personally render all kinds of services to Krishna. That is their natural service attitude towards their beloved husband. And Krishna is attracted not to their feminine charms. Krishna is attracted to their pure, loving, devotional service. In the first canto of Bhagavatam, this beautiful shloka comes. Uddama bhava pishuna malaval guhasa vridavaloka nihato madano piyasam sammuhya chapama jahat pramadottamasta yasyendriyam vimathitum kuhakairna sekuhu. Uddama bhava pishuna malaval guhasa. All these queens have their grave expressions and charming smiles and captivating feminine attributes, but they cannot perturb the senses of Krishna. They cannot agitate the senses of Krishna. Although they are very attractive to even Cupid personified also, still they cannot actually agitate the senses of Krishna, because Krishna is more attracted to their loving devotional service more than their feminine attributes. So in this way, Krishna lived his exemplary household life with 16,108 queens. And although Krishna acted like a henpecked husband, in the case of Satyabhama, Satyabhama wanted Parijata tree. Krishna even got into a fight with Indra and then brought that Parijata tree to Dwaraka and planted that Parijata tree in the garden of Satyabhama's palace. So Satyabhama wanted, he demanded something from Krishna, and then Krishna gave it to her like a henpecked husband, imitating his human pastimes. But Krishna is also not captivated by the feminine charms of all these 16,108 queens, but he is attracted to their loving devotional service. You can see the simultaneous so-called quote-unquote attachment or henpecked nature of Krishna, and also Krishna's detachment simultaneously. So basically, the affairs of Krishna along with his queens are not on a material plane. there is no material lust involved in the relationship. There is pure spiritual love. When Krishna acts like a henpecked husband and fulfills the desires of Satyabhama, it is Krishna's attraction to her pure love for Krishna. So that is on a spiritual plane, not on a material plane. So Krishna is acting like a henpecked husband. You cannot compare Krishna with a henpecked husband of this material world, who might be attracted to the feminine charms of his wife, and then he may do certain things. So Krishna begot 10 sons from each of these queens, and those sons also procreated, and then they gave birth to so many sons and so many other children, and thus Krishna's entire family itself is like thousands in numbers. So Krishna in this way has lived his household life with 16,100 queens. And once Krishna teased Satyabhama, teased Rukmini Devi, because Satyabhama may sometimes speak some things to Krishna and then demand Krishna, but Rukmini Devi is very mild and very gentle and very soft spoken, and she would never become angry with Krishna. So Krishna wanted to play with Rukmini, and then he wanted to slightly agitate or provoke Rukmini with some teasing words. So he teases Rukmini. He says many things. Once he said that, Rukmini Devi, you have married me unnecessarily. I am just a cowherd boy, and I have ran away from the battlefield, and I have taken shelter of this fort in the middle of the ocean. I am not a great warrior. You could have married Shishupala or any other exalted noble king who is like a bona fide Kshatriya. Why did you marry me? Like that, in various ways Krishna started teasing. Although Krishna had sons and grandsons by this time, still at this point also he was teasing Rukmini. And Rukmini, because of her simple-hearted nature, she took all of those teasing words of Krishna seriously, and she fainted. And Krishna just revived her and then brought her to consciousness. And Krishna consoled her, saying that, oh Rukmini, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you in this way, and I was just joking with you. This is the nature of householders. They just joke with their wives, so don't take it seriously. Then Rukmini Devi systematically defeated all the arguments that Krishna has given while teasing. Then Krishna understood her pure love. So in this way Krishna performed so many such wonderful activities with all his queens. And once Narada Muni wanted to understand how Krishna is living with so many queens in his palaces. So Narada Muni went to different palaces of Krishna, and he saw Krishna doing so many activities with different queens and his sons, the younger children, and he was giving charity to Brahmanas at one place. He was practicing some weapons, practicing some fight with swords and sticks, etc. So like that, and somewhere he's chanting some Vedic mantras. Somewhere he's interacting with the Brahmanas or ministers. So like that, Krishna is doing so many activities in all the 16,108 palaces. So Krishna spends time with each and every queen simultaneously in 16,108 forms, and in the morning 16,108 Krishnas will come out of the 16,108 palaces and then merge into one Krishna and board the chariot and go to the Sudharma assembly hall for the meetings on the day. So Krishna lived a very ideal household life, and he satisfied all his queens with his divine loving association. And Narada Muni understood all these exemplary activities of Krishna in his manifest pastimes as a householder, and he was satisfied, and he was wondering at the astonishing and inconceivable potency of Krishna with which he spends time with all his queens. So in this way we have discussed Krishna's marriages with 16,108 queens and how he lived happily with all these queens and satisfied them in all respects, reciprocating with their loving devotional service. Thank you all very much. Granthraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.